Welcome back to our Scala to Spark class, and this is our last lecture, and we will talk about different cloud services available. Again, probably service you will encounter in real life. And so there's a big three. Actually, the big three, of course, is Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. So Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short, GCP, Google Cloud something, right? We'll see if I remember correctly. And also Azure, which is from Microsoft. As you will see, they are relatively, there are many very similar services. Basically, you pay for using these companies' computing resources, right? And starting from mid 2000s, the variety of service offered is quite huge. So the question is, what will change? How do you use them, right? Well, you can't really, I can't give you a good overview here with details because as a person, you all three require a credit card sign up, right? Which is, they offer a generous trial credit, so it's completely free to try. But unfortunately, you do need a credit card, which means you do run some risk of basically making a slight mistake, and then you basically get charged by a bit of money, right? Relatively scary if you make some security or maybe just a configuration mistake, right? There are actually jobs these days whose whole job responsibility is just managing Amazon pricing, for example, right? You have a company, you work as a programmer, but there's just one person who is in charge of working on these services because there's so many of them. Right, but we'll take a look again as an end user. Basically, you will have authentication, right? And basically, you would sign up, use the web basically access, right? You have access point, and you basically make some calls, you read some documentation, and well, you get data back or you get services back. You perform some work, right? And again, so everything is very nice. Okay, so let's take a look, and I'm sure you'll encounter some very familiar terms, right? We've been using, for example, service like Ivan, right? This is nice, right? Because they used Amazon and Google and Microsoft underneath, right? And, well, you could play around. You had a nice little tiny sandbox without the risk of making a catastrophic mistake. So using middlemen often is quite recommended, actually, right? So, but unfortunately, the Ivan and those services don't offer all that Amazon offers. So, yeah, so we'll go here, official documentation for Amazon, which is the most important. Again, probably everybody, you can't really, as a big company, if you work, do a job for a bigger company, you really can't go wrong with Amazon as far as reputation-wise. And they are the best also as a person if you want, if you make a mistake, right? Again, they will roll back the charges. Google, not so much, Microsoft maybe. So Amazon is also good in that regard. So the risk of making a big mistake is also a little bit lesser. Right, okay. So again, it's basically cloud, again, it's basically other people's computers, basically as a service, right? So again, it's also for financial reasons, it's very popular because it's basically an expense, right? You don't have a capital expense of buying a computer as a company. You basically have a monthly cost, right? You pay for monthly services. They're easier to accounting purpose. You to have a write it down. But expense, different type of accounting. Again, those who have some accounting background will be able to understand maybe this better, right? So that's also, so not only technical reasons for choosing these cloud services, also financial reasons, right? Just tax reasons also, right? So yes, so basically you sign up, right? Enter your credit card info, of course, your company info, of course, right? And then you have a console, you have a command line interface, you have some software development kits as well. But let's take a look what's offered actually. Let's go through like a smorgasbord of services offered. Again, Amazon also is best in keeping services alive, even maybe they're not very popular some, but they'll still be around, right? So like I said, look at all these names, right? I'll go maybe if I can find the most useful one, most popular ones, right? Storage, of course, right? You have something called EBS, which basically is just like using replicated data storage, right? basically on the, have high availability and durability, basically, right? So storing your data, right? And you basically pay for what you provision, basically what you store. You can again check what the pricing is, of course, right? 30 gigabytes is free technically. Yeah, again, it's free. 30 gigabytes, not too bad actually. Again, right, it's free. How it works, you can choose SSD or HDD, right? But so Electric Black Store, but of course you need something to attach it to, right? It's just basically, right? So usually you would attach it to your Amazon EC2 instance. So what is that EC2? That's probably also one of the most popular things, service you can use. Let me see if you can find it here. Internet, no. Front-end web, no. Developer tools, compute services, perhaps. Now, where is the EC2? Now, if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Yes, here we go. Compute services. So probably the most, but earliest start, like the most core service is compute service. Basically, you have a instance, basically a virtual machine. Basically, you have a virtual machine, like something virtual private server, basically. So usually it's run on Linux, of course, right? On like just a virtual machine, and you can choose what kind of CPU, how much memory, how many cores, like how much kind of hard drive space. Again, so that's most popular things actually used. So let's see if we can see the actual the purchase options here, right? This is probably the most popular service you'll encounter. Again, you technically get 750 hours per month on the free trial, right? So you can play around if you're careful, again, right? But again, that doesn't prevent you from going and buying some extra service, by mistake. So yes, again, you probably, again, it's usually done by another person, usually who provides these services, right? So what's the advantage of this, right? And why not run it locally? Because you can scale the capacity. It's so very easy using a console, these dashboards, these tools to, let's say you want 10 machines, no problem. You want 100 machines, Amazon will give you. If you want 1,000, even 1,000 machines, you can rent them instantly, right? If you actually do need them, right? So if you're prepared to pay for it, right? So let's take a look what they offer, right? Again, of course, every large company uses it, right? Of course. So again, very often, right? So we'll see. Let's see where is pricing, right? If you get started, so I'll show you what that does. Basically, right, I have root user. Again, you have to type in, okay, you have new account. I don't want to type it, but pricing wise, right? So let's look at EC2 pricing. See on-demand pricing. There's two different pricings. Again, it's a huge field. Pricing alone is very complicated. Again, cynics among, well, probably a little bit of me as well. It's because, of course, if you have such complicated pricing, it's easy to make a mistake. And if you are a company, well, 100 euros or 2,000 euros extra, well, business is running, everything is good. Well, Amazon is happy, right? Again. So, but you can choose. You see how it works. You can choose which region it is, what kind of where it is, Europe, Asia, and so on, right? And what kind of machine you want. Linux, you probably want Linux, right? Red Hat. I think even Windows, you can order Windows machines, of course, right? Very nice. And you have 400 instance. Okay, look at this price, right? So you have 2.25. That's 2 cents an hour, right? Do your math. That's times 24 an hour. That's about 50 cents. 50 cents a day. So about $15 a month. Not too bad, right? But it's 2 gigabytes. Again, competition really charged about 3 or 4 times less, actually, right? So again, everybody knows Amazon is expensive, but of course the good news is, of course, you can cancel at any moment. You can change what you need, right? So there's even nano instance, which is very. I think the nano or micro, you get one of these instances for free, basically. Again, you can use that, and it's actually usually quite sufficient, right? Again, as a training, right? So okay. So partial instance hour consumed will be billed per second. You get billed by seconds again, right? Then you choose how many cores. So you can get a pretty nice machine, 16 cores, okay, right? So how much it costs? That's 40 cents an hour. So that's about what? About $10 a day, $300 a month. And that actually, I'll say this is quite expensive actually already, right? So have nice performance, right? Again, but of course that's only the instance, right? That's not all. You start with data transfer, right? So if how you get data in, right? Let's say you want region. Let's say you want to get to people where people make mistake. Usually, let's say you want to go to Frankfurt, right? Again, you see the pricing to Frankfurt will be 2 cents per gigabyte, right? Out from Amazon to somewhere else, right? You want to transfer somewhere, right? And that's where you can really make a mistake. Like in is free, right? Out, right? You have 100 gigabytes free, but if you make a mistake, right, or maybe your service becomes very popular, right, you will pay these data transfer fees again. So that's something I know from experience, also from friends, right? This is that you have to be careful. Again, usually as a developer, you don't have to worry too much about this, right? But just something to keep in mind. Again, you'll need to contact a specialist with Amazon pricing to know what service to choose, right? What you want, and there are ways to optimize all of this, right? So EC2, right? Elastic Cloud, right? Basically, you choose a kind of machine, right? And you can order multiple machines as needed, right? Very nice, actually, right? Very nice, but you pay for this convenience, right? So yeah, you can of course request a pricing quote. If you have to ask, you probably can't afford it, right? And so on, right? So that's probably the most popular service around because it's so generic. And of course, it's not so generic. You have lots of competition, right? Everybody offers this type of service. It's not only the big three. But let's take a look what else is offered by Amazon. For example, analytics, right? You have a cloud search, data pipeline, right? For example, data pipeline, right? I haven't used this one service, right? A web service move within different. So it's like a service between using Amazon web services, basically, right? If you're using it, right, you can create some pipelines, right, to transfer data, right? Or for example, Amazon Web Services Glue, right? Something which we've been doing, extract, transform, and load service, right? You can say what you want, what kind of data you want to extract, right? And let's see what they offer actually. Something like this, right? Serverless data integration, basically what it does, well, hard to say exactly, but right, you have Amazon free trial, so you can say, okay, you have data on Amazon. Of course, if you're doing everything on Amazon, this might be a service you would use, basically, right? You can transfer data, right, and do some queries, right, and basically transform data. Again, so very nice, but again, probably maybe not too popular actually. This is more or less less often used. Right, so let's see what else we have here. Interesting, right? So cloud search EMR, right? So EMR probably if you want to use Spark, right? Take a look at this one. This is actually you can use, right? You have, let's see, big data platform, right? Let's see the pricing on this, right? I don't think it's offered for free, right? So you can run your Apache Spark, right? The jobs, right? You choose what version, basically, right? You want 3.3 Spark, okay? Well, I don't know if they offer 3.3 or 3.2, right? You choose where the data is, right? And of course, and you make your queries, right? Do your analytics, right? And so on. So questions, of course, is pricing, right? Let's check out pricing. Again, that's always is what I'm interested in, right? So EC price, EMR price. So how does it work? Let's see. So basically, it's the same thing we've been doing, right? We run Spark locally. The only difference it runs on the Amazon machines, right? So I think if I'm doing correctly, right, you offer the EMR price is added to the Amazon EC2 price. So basically, you have to buy the server first, right? You buy the server, and then you buy this additional service again. So like a la carte, like shopping a la carte, and you can get this nice service, basically Spark, basically, or some other queries you can run as a service. So, but again, as you can see, it's not maybe the EMR part is not as much, but again, what kind of server you're using together, it will add up, right? Again, you can experiment, of course, but again, if you forget to turn off some service, again, sorry, you have to call the Amazon help, and try to get the cancel. Of course, here we see also you can even use GPU. That's even more expensive, $4 an hour, right? For more calculation power, if you need to, right? So lots of, again, it's basically a smorgasbord of choice. I mean, it's really cool, right? But again, you can see, right? Some charges, EMR example, right? Let's say Amazon East, for example, East Coast, and you have your application, your Spark code, right? And you use an EC2 instance, right, as your master node, and you have 2 extra nodes, right? You'll be charged for the EMR on the nodes, right, for 1 month, right? And you basically pay $290 for EMR for master node, and about $150 for EMR on the core nodes, and plus the instance charges on the other node. So total price would be roughly $1,000, right? Again, not too cheap, right? Let's do something more expensive. Uplift, right? Let's see, they don't even mention the price, right? Charge, but they don't mention how much it is going to be total, right? So again, you get to choose what kind of service you want to run, right? There are even specific ones for financial services, right? So maybe you'll see some other ones. Okay, step functions, haven't used these actually, but again, there's 200 services from Amazon. MQ, actually, you might want to use that one, is basically a message broker, right? You could basically exchange. You had many big projects. You could use this for exchanging, using standard APIs and protocols. You can exchange messaging, right? So again, of course, Amazon makes it very easy to join their service, start using their service, makes it pretty hard to leave them. Okay, right. Sumerian, that's for virtual reality, that's pretty cool. Blockchain, I won't really go into blockchain, right? There's some way of making your own blockchain, of course. Yes, if you want to. Probably not you probably don't. Let's see. Work SES. Let's see about SES, right? Alexa for business is also available, right? So, all right, SES is if you need to send email from any application, right? Also could be something useful, because sending email these days is actually quite a complicated task, right? You can download a library which in Scala which will send an email, but configuring a mail server, that's another task, because of course your email will most likely get caught by spam filters, right? So SES actually does a pretty good job, but still, of course, since so many people, if somebody wants to use it for spam, right? Also, they have some protections built in, but still, you might also find that your service also might not, might have a false positive, right? And you might think, okay, your email is also spam. So, and again, it's not straightforward. But let's look at the pricing. How much it costs to send email? Let's see, pricing. Again, I always want to see a price. Marketing, Reddit uses, Netflix uses it, and Duolingo also uses it, apparently, this service. Okay, let's see if we get started. What's the price? I want the price. Again, I need to log in. I don't want to log in. So they won't tell you even the pricing. I forget now how much it was. Right. Oh, maybe here you see it. If you are in Europe, so 62,000 emails for free, and then 10 for every 1,000 emails. If you have EC2, if you are somewhere else, let's say you're using your own computer, right? You are going to pay 10 cents for 1,000 emails every, no matter what, right? And also you will pay 12 cents for each gigabyte of attachment, right? Again, so something to keep in mind, right? Again, getting started again, but notice, right? It has a very good support. Let's say you want to use this service, right? You log into your Amazon account, you verify your identity, of course, right? And send your first email. And again, let's see how it looks, right? So benefits related service, it should mention getting started, right? Simple email service, right? And you would get your credentials, right? Connecting to endpoint, right? Using software packages to send email, right? You can use, you can configure, you can just basically set your settings, port, right? Username and password, basically, right? And you can send emails programmatically, of course, right? Any SMT, which is a mail standard, will support, right? So you just need to get your credentials, right? Let's see if there any Java, right? So this is Java example. basically you can convert immediately to Scala and it will work just fine, right? So pretty easy, right? Again, so documentation is one of the strengths of Amazon services. Okay, let's see, how are we doing? Would we like to talk a little bit more? Well, let's go through all the Amazon services. What else is important, right? So business applications, cloud, financial management, compute services. Again, so that's probably the main area. EC2. What else is important here? Lambda, probably you won't encounter it. It's also for making small requests. We can do compare, basically, what they offer, right? So basically, EC2, right? So for up to 90, so this is the cheapest way, is spot instance, basically. So you see what Amazon is offering, sort of say, it's like an auction, but basically, or a marketplace. You see what Amazon has available at that moment, and you will have pretty good deals, right? If you use just regular EC2, right, you'll pay the full price, basically, right? You pay extra, right? It's just like going to an airplane and asking for tickets, and maybe if you really need to fly that day, right, you will fly, you pay extra, but maybe somebody also offers you a deal to give up a spot, for example. That's also possible, right? So what else is there? So auto scaling, right? You got compute capacity, right? And what else is there? What's important? Saving plans, extras, things. So there's so many services which are just basically just for Amazon internally. Okay, I want to keep going. We go to the compute service contact center, no containers, so Docker, right? Probably Docker, what I want to talk about, right? So you can have a registry for your virtual containers. So what's virtual container? Basically, usually this means a Docker container. Basically, it's a small mini virtualization, right? And you can store your image registry on Amazon. You don't have to do this, by the way. Again, it's just an extra service, right? Again, some of the extra things they offer. Database, that's something you probably are interested in. So let's take a look at what database is offered by Amazon. And it is actually, right, so basically you have Amazon Aurora. What's happening here is that Amazon, of course, is taking the free and open source software and maybe adjusting it maybe a little bit, right? For example, Aurora, so it's a MySQL and Postgres compatible database engine. So basically, you can use your regular SQL, you have connections, basically regular stuff, right? So let's take a look how you would connect it. You pay for it, the company pays for it, right? How would you start, right? Again, it's configured, right? Let's look at some examples, like some overview, getting started, and right, tutorials are quite good. And let me see here. Right, we don't want to cluster connecting. Let's see resources, our resources here. Right. There are even videos, migration from other databases, and so on, benchmarks, right? Configure access, right? Basically here, that's probably what you would want to see, right? You read the white paper, check, okay, what you need to configure, right? You find the settings, right? And then you could connect to using your regular JDBC driver, most likely, right? There should be an example there somewhere, right? Ports, right? And you have to, of course, probably have some whitelist connecting over internet, right? There's special instructions, right? You connect it. This looks like, well, this is different, not dbeaver, but you could use dbeaver. Of course, you could use your Scala application again. So nothing too crazy, right? Very simple. A MySQL workbench, which is like dbeaver, basically, right? So nothing too strange. Again, all of these things we've been talking about are they migrate naturally to these Amazon services. Actually, again. So it's just a matter of reading documentation. So DynamoDB is something like we talked about Redis, right? It's key value database. Well, actually, it's sort of like a mix, although as document database, right? So very more loose, right? Because remember what's the difference is, right? We looked at if you use Aurora, right? It's going to be SQL syntax, right? DynamoDB is going to be key value again. Because if you don't need the really strong relational tables, then DynamoDB, right, will be quite might be the answer. And again, getting started, right? If you read about this documentation, Again, not like that. Again, I don't want to actually get started. I want to read the documentation. So Disney, Dropbox. I think Dropbox actually did move away, I believe, right? Snap, Zoom, right? Again, it's for big companies, so usually, right? But again, you probably work with some of these big companies, most likely, right? So again, you have a workbench. You just either need some extra help, but again, underneath will be still the same concepts we looked at when we looked at Redis, when we looked at MongoDB, right? Similar concepts actually, right? So Elastic Cache, that's for in-memory cache, is basically an option of Redis, right? Again, that's there you have Redis here, right? You have some other things. You have a Cassandra compatible. Again, something we talked about, Cassandra. Remember your Cassandra, right? So Keyspace will be something very similar. Will transfer, your knowledge will transfer. And again, the hard part is they have another service for Redis actually, right? So again, you probably won't have to worry about it, choosing which one to use, right? You probably have something already chosen for you, right? And then you have some other engines like Graph, like Neo4j. This is not Neo4j, this is Neptune. Again, alternative, right? And usually, again, underneath, right, they use something, usually use an open source, some sort of software just configured to Amazon's needs. Again, philosophically, this is, it's not a bad thing philosophically for us as users, but for company which produce it, right, they also want to maybe sell their own service, right? Well, if Amazon is offering it, right, who would want to buy from them, right? Well, some might, but not as many, right? And there's also, there's a way of just a relational database service in general, right? You can have, if you need to scale your relational database in the cloud, you can choose basically Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, right? And you can basically automate this setup, right? Again, but for you as a developer, it won't really make much difference. Okay, and there's some other databases as well, right? Time series database and DocumentDB, again, MongoDB compatibility. And again, and that's another thing, right? This is all good, but there was a big fight. MongoDB is not very happy, of course. If Amazon offers this service, right, and it's legal for them to do, who would want to buy from MongoDB the same service, right? So of course, MongoDB is also trying to add some extra features which they could offer, right? So it's that's interesting thing that's happening here. So yeah, so there's a lot of database offered. Development tools, like we are using Corretto, right? We've been using Amazon Corretto. Why? Because, of course, it's been guaranteed support longer than Oracle support for Java machine, virtual machines. So, again, something we've been using quite a bit, right? So, right, it's just distribution. It's just service, don't have to worry and don't have to pay anything, right? So there's some other developments, like you can use, instead of using IntelliJ, you could be using Cloud9, right? But I'm thinking it supports Scala, right? It's not something not very widely used. Again, a lot of very smart people working at Amazon, making lots of different projects, and sort of strategies throw mud at the wall and see what sticks, right? Right, there's even a managed source. Some of those things you wonder, why do you need it, right? Again, maybe somebody needs it, right? So, okay, end user computing, this is for end users, right? Streaming service, workspace is, again, not something we would need here. Front-end web, again, for location service, you want to find what location, get an API for location, could be nice, right? Also, pinpoint looks like interesting if you need to send, for example, messages, SMS, or maybe WhatsApp and so on messages, right? This might be a service which offers that, right? So, again, some extra things, right? There's even testing service, right? You can test multiple services at once, right? That's also cool. Game Tech, again, cool stuff, but I won't have time to talk about. Internet of Things, a lot of different analytics, right? Machine learning. Okay, so what's offered in machine learning? Things hopefully you like, at least you're interested in, right? So a lot of extra things. There is, for example, text track, deep composer. Let's see what's interesting here. This is extracts text, right? Extracts text and data from scanned documents. It works pretty well. You enter, basically you have an API to send send your pictures and you get back text, right? Pretty nice service. Let's see what pricing was again. And I believe it was free tire. 1,000 pages. Yeah, you can get 1,000 pages per month. A million pages is $1.50. Oh, no, sorry. 1,000 pages, $1.50, right? So, a million pages would be 1,500, right? So, okay, right? Query, so it's pretty nice. Again, you have an API price. Let's see, how would you use it? Again, this I think I've used it some time ago. Again, it's actually, and I usually, of course, you can make your own resources, code samples, right? Right, extract text. It will be pretty simple, right? 10 minutes, right? Extract. You have data. Oh no. There's some other ways of doing basically. Yeah, you can actually just upload. That's even easier, but you can of course upload it as a program basically. Okay, right. Let's not spend too much time on it. So machine learning, also service management and governance, also auto scaling, chatbot. Again, a lot of things if you don't want to build yourself are available from Amazon. All right, media services. Again, for example, important thing might be transcoder, meaning you need to transfer the media files, right? That might be a service you might want to use, right? You send it files, and it will convert to other media formats. Of course, you could do it on your computer, but of course, Amazon makes it easy to do this at scale. Again, that's why you would want to use this. Again, almost all these services have something analog on your local machine, but again, it's a little bit different running it on a local machine or running on these cloud services. Again, transformation, right? There's even, I think, there is something very cool. Snow service, data transfer, right? Snow code, right? So, snowball option, snowmobile. Okay, yeah, I love this. This is my coolest service at all, right? So basically, if you need to transfer a lot of data, you get a snowmobile, right? So basically, you get this as a snowmobile, right? It's 100 petabytes of data, 45-foot shipping container, pulled by a trailer truck, right? So basically, this is the fastest way of moving huge amounts of data. It's full of basically, believe hard drives, right, or archive drives, right, on transforms, right, and basically it's transformed to your data center. Amazon configures it for you, and then you connect it right from switch, and you can do a transfer to the snowmobile, and then snowmobile is driven back, right, and imported into Amazon S3. As we learned, S3 is the data storage level, right? So very cool service. I don't even want to know how much it costs, right? Again, if you compare it to 5 megabyte drive from 1956, right, something very similar, right? This is pre-old, right? That's 5 megabytes from 1956, right? So we have come a long way. 100 petabytes is, that is what, if 1,000 terabytes is 1 petabyte, right? So I don't even know, want to calculate how many billions of those drives would fit inside here, right, in this truck. Okay, very cool stuff, right? But yeah, I have not had the opportunity. This is rare that you need to use this, right? But I know companies or some services which have thought about this, right? But massively scalable, right? So, right, okay, yeah. So alternative would be 12,000 of these snowballs, actually, right? You have a tape ball, right? It's a little ship's device, powered on, connect to network, and you write the data and ship it back, right? It's again pretty cool stuff, right? But snowmobile and snowball. So this is a way of transferring large amounts of data. Cool stuff, right? So networking and content delivery, right? You have different services, right? You have Amazon VPN, for example, right? If you have, for example, you have service. Again, this is probably, of course, many other services, not only Amazon. You can have a VPN virtual private network, you can connect your different offices together and they will appear in a single network, basically, right? Pretty cool stuff, right? And of course, there's elastic load balancing, another thing, technical thing for balancing data across multiple targets, right? Across the world, right? Again, something to do with networking. So quantum technologies, what is that? That's probably back in the future, right? Probably very exploratory, right? Something to do with computational problems with quantum computing. Probably not quite something, most likely you will not encounter it, but something to keep an eye on, right? Robotics, of course, robot maker, intelligent robotic applications, satellite, right? So you can see, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Cognito detective, right? Again, a lot of services. For example, what's detective? I think it is potential security issues, right? It collects log data. Again, the log data we've been logging, right? And it will give you some idea what's happening, basically, right? Again, it's something you use with your Amazon service. All right, storage, and I think we talked about elastic block store, right? Which is the main one, right? And basically use an EC2 instance, right? So huge, how much, what's the limit for elastic block store? Pricing again, yes, Telegram is free. Throughput again is up to 50, let's see how much throughput. Again, you pay if you go over 125 megabytes a second, right? If you go, you see, that's how also you can get suddenly, if you have too much throughput, right? Also, you'll pay for it, right? So again, something you have to be careful, right? Again, but of course, usually a company will not worry about this stuff, right? These small charges, right? Because you just want to transfer data quickly. And again, even it turns out you even pay for operations per second. Actually, also on SSDs, if you're doing too many writes, right, on your SSD in Amazon, you also pay, right? So unfortunately, you can get only warnings for your payments, meaning for your charges. You can't have limits, unfortunately. That's the thing that people have been asking for over 10 or 15 years, been asking for limits, but you can't. Because of course Amazon says you companies don't want that, right? Well, if I was a student, of course I would want that, right? Because it's so easy to make some slight tiny mistake. Okay, right, so lots of examples how you can pay for it, right? So that's another major service. So out of all of these services we looked at on Amazon, right? Which ones are the most important? Is block storage, right? And of course, most important is actually the compute services is EC2, right? Those are the like bedrock of the services. But other ones, of course, quite a few interesting things. So we've seen how the kind of service Amazon offers. Let's take a look what is offered by the competition, right? Let's look at Azure, right? Maybe not too many, but also we can chat, of course, with a bot or maybe a human. No thanks, later, right? For example, it starts with AI machine learning, right? You can add, you can use a mix and match, of course, right? You can buy from a Microsoft, you can buy from Amazon. Personally, I had good experience with Azure, right? They're slightly different. Again, Amazon is fine. Azure is also fine, right? You can see getting started, right? You want to use it, right? You have free account, Azure portal, right? And explore documentation, quick start, right? And how would you use it, right? Sample notebook, right? Actually looks here, right? What do they use? What kind of language? I think they use Python, but you could of course use also Scala or something else because you use an API basically, right? So let's take a look at this data, right? SDK sample, right? Demo. Actually, they made it in a notebook. Very simple stuff, right? You can check it out, right? And that's why basically you just basically add you write library, basically load the CSV, right? And you would write data. It's actually data frame, right? And you basically would draw a plot on basically let's reference SAS file, and you train a model against things we've been using before. The only difference is that, notice here, right? You would pay, you need to have an account, right? You need to have a from OS get environment, right? Again, this is first time I'm seeing this service, but it's not something. If you have learned, you have followed this course, we've been doing it. it should be very easy to get started because you have a subscription key from environment, right? Like we've done before in our Scala programs, right? Anomaly detector, also get environment. Again, very similar ideas. Again, all of these ideas are quite similar across services, right? And of course, these are some nice extra things, but yeah. So you need to just read the documentation, what you want to do. Okay, but there's lots of machine learning things, computer vision, for example, face API, for example. They have some interesting things, again, not maybe offered by Amazon, right? Because, of course, as you know, Amazon offers quite, Microsoft is really investing heavily in machine learning and artificial intelligence, OpenAI, which maybe is not so open, but still very interesting, cool things, right? So again, you can do some facial recognition, of course, right? Add extra things. Let's see how much this costs, right? For example, again, face API pricing. Again, most of these things cost us face API. Fees for 20 transactions a minute, right? 30,000 a month. That's not too bad, right? If you want 10 per second, right? You pay $1 per 1,000. Not too bad, right? Not too bad at all, right? Okay. So analytics, right? Probably something you'll encounter. Data factory. There's late storage, or something maybe like EC, Data Explorer, analysis of Databricks. This is something you might encounter, right? Basically, it's Spark. Basically, you have a Spark connection, basically, and you would use what we learn in the course, right? You would use it on just using Azure service, right? So pricing, let's see what the price, they don't even tell you. You have to click a couple times, right? Right, you just run a cluster, basically run your options, right? So quick start, right? And this is right. You save at workload, right? An hour, right? All purpose, right? You can schedule your jobs, right? And do things here again. So otherwise, the actual commands that we use the ones we learn in our course. Okay, what else? There's some other services, of course, quite a few of them. Let's see, compute also. Probably what you will encounter is, you can of course have SQL Server, of course, Linux virtual machines. You can of course Windows virtual machines too. Where are they? Right, you can run even Windows, but of course Linux, right? You can provision, right? Microsoft is also, they'll say, okay, whatever you want, right? You can provision, right? Extra virtual machines, right? What else? Cool thing, database. Again, something you might encounter. You have Redis. You have Azure SQL again. A lot of SQL versions, different. MariaDB, which is also SQL version. Do they have anything with Cassandra? Yes, you have Cassandra as well, right? So again, what else? You have developer tools, of course. Let's see what else. DevOps, hybrid, Internet Things, media, mobile, networking, storage. Again, something you probably encounter is maybe storage, Azure backup, right? Data lake, right? This is huge data storage. Basically, you may encounter on again pricing. It's how much can you store, right? And let's say you want West, okay. So first terabyte is 15 cents per gigabyte. So that's how much. That is $150, right? $150. Yeah, $150 per terabyte. But of course, you have 50 terabytes, so you count that. So that's going to be, if you have 50 terabytes a month, you're going to pay $7,500, if I'm not mistaken. Premium. Maybe hot is a little bit less. Cool is even less, and archive is even less. Actually, that's interesting. So archive is the slowest way, right? Meaning you don't have the priority, right? Basically, it's a slower access. You may get the data a little bit later, right? I forgot how long it takes, but it's so you can save quite a bit of money there, right? You can reserve how much you want, and also transactions, right? Operations. Again, you pay some extra, slightly different payment options. Again, right? So lot of things. You have other options like a blob storage. You can see that is also for analytic lake storage, and blob storage is for general data, I believe, right? So what else? That is Amazon. And I want to finish this basically right? Rockwell, Smith, M&S, AccuWeather also use this data storage. Again, so Microsoft is second after Amazon in these services. I want to show what else is there. Mobile, networking. Right, so those are the major ones. Of course, depending on your needs, you might want also some other things in this service. On the last but not least, I'd say is Google, right? I will say again, if you have a choice, probably I'm just biased. I know Amazon and Microsoft Azure. If you have a problem, like I said, if you make a mistake, right, no problem. You can talk to their account representative and they will fix it. Google is slightly different. They might say, okay, tough luck, right? And they have some cool things, right? They have some also pricing might be better actually, but if you are more on your own, right, they are more engineer oriented, right? So again, you might not have a choice. It's okay if you work with on a project which is using GCP, you'll be fine. But personally, just my personal opinion is I would try to avoid them for something serious myself. Again, but I'm not in purchasing of this, right? Of course, you can again, just like Amazon and just like Microsoft Azure, you get free credits. So, but those credits will melt very, very fast. Again, of course, you have to supply a credit card, right? So you can play around again, then cancel, of course, too. That's fine, right? So let's take a look again. Machine learning. They have some tools for media translation, text to speech, speech text. All three offer those services, right? Video eye, vision eye, right? And also some computing services, data analytics. What they offer. BigQuery is something, yes, you might encounter BigQuery basically, right? This is, you have up to, you can store a lot of data basically, right? On a huge, you use SQL type of syntax, right? But you work on huge data sets basically, right? So again, use standard SQL. So SQL will be your help. Again, on very, very basically cool things again, right? So there is a sandbox actually for BigQuery. You can do it without a credit card. So that's something you might want to explore, right? You can run a query today, right? On sandbox, this is something you might want to do, right? Go to BigQuery, right? And authenticate with your Google, your Gmail, and so on, right? And you can make a SQL workspace, right? And it works like any other sandbox we've been using, right? So that's something you might, I would say, this would be something maybe try it. That's something you'll probably encounter BigQuery at some point in your projects. Right, so this is something you can go here, right? And if you go, let me see how much time I have left. Well, let's do some. Let's see. So, right, and it was. Let's do this. So you have a query. It's just like a so we have select, right, service, right. And what can we do? Sandbox banner, access, right? Right, review updates. I approve. Okay, I am okay. Yes, I accept. Right, search ads API. Right, they will probably check what I'm searching for. Right, and right again they offer this workspace. So create project. I believe you create project. Right, my project. I have quota. Organization, no, don't create. No organization, okay. Cancel, I don't have because I don't have an organization. And basically just do select something, right? I know how data transfers, I can upload some data into it, right? Maybe from Chinook or something, right? Like I might have my database here, but I want that's my cloud database here, right? And basically, right, on run editor, ordinal tower, right? And again, create data set, data location. I'll say, let's say it's in Europe, Frankfurt or Netherlands, maybe. Oh, let's say Warsaw. Let's say Warsaw, right? Create data set. Oh, this is ID. Do I need an ID? I don't know. Data 32. Yes. Let's say. I don't know. Yeah, but again, so very similar stuff, right? Again, nothing, right? Somebody already has it actually. So apparently, I need to have unique ID, right? So ordinal tower, right? Create data set. I'll just do some random. can't possibly here. Okay, I have that, right? Can I actually import, right? Data transfers. I haven't used that query in a while, so I forget. But I think you can upload the data, right? You have API, right, from some other service, right? You can upload basically, and let's say from AdWords, from Google Play, from some other service, and you can then make queries, basically just SQL, basically. So something to play around with. So that's, yeah, this is one of the big ones. Database. What does Google offer, right? Again. Any other service? You have a nice Firestore. Firebase is really cool. It's a NoSQL database. It's kind of like MongoDB, but a little bit sort of like JSON type of database, document database, right? Used by quite a few applications. What else? Yeah, so of course regular SQL type of database again. But all change, you have connection in your DB or your Scala application. You change your access point and you can use it. So what other things? So compute. Yeah, App Engine. So what Google offers a lot of extra computing options. I believe bare machine is what you might want to start is again, probably won't you encounter it, but you will see you can load extra machine key features again, right? Let's see, compare features, pricing, NetApp, and right. I think it's just bare metal. Let me see here. I think you have to do compare features. Okay, so Amazon. They say, okay, you see how they compare them against Amazon and Azure, right? Say you can run. They say, okay, how they are much better. And okay, right, subscription based. Okay, so you need to talk to your sales representative again. So not something we are interested in here, right? But if you use again, pretty simple. You can just check your documentation. So compute. What if something else? Compute engine, I believe. Yeah, this is what we want. Yeah, that's AC2. Basically, you can choose, let's say, machines. Let's say you can up to 2224 virtual CPUs and up to 900 gigabytes of memory, right? So let's take ultra high memory, up to 12 terabytes. That's pretty nice, right? Let's check. I want how much it costs, right? Again, machine families, memory optimized. I want 12 terabytes of memory. How much is that, right? So M machine, right? Let's see. 160 CPUs, memory gigabytes, 1.5 terabyte, right? That's 4 terabytes. Pretty nice, right? Machine type pricing. How much is it? I'm on there. Right, that's a different type of pricing again. And the thing is Google is they change things much more often. Unfortunately, you see, so you basically say gigabyte memory times hour. So you have 4 terabytes of memory, right? You pay how much? Let's say 1,000 terabytes for 1 terabyte or 1,000 gigabytes of memory. That means you pay $3 an hour, right? So $100 a day for terabyte of memory. Again, maybe you need it, maybe you don't, right? Again, so lots of options. It's pretty crazy. But you can. Well, the cool thing. Okay, you say even if you are a small-time operator, small company, but you need this huge computing power, but you don't need for a month. You need only for a week, and then it's quite affordable. Maybe you want to pay a couple $100 for extremely. So it's in effect you're renting a very powerful single machine for just a couple days, right? Again, something which might not be trivial otherwise. Okay, so that's so compute is the other service from Google. And what else do we have here? What else we didn't cover? Big query is something you want to see. And yeah, let's see here. I think I think we're all out of time. But compute engine. Yeah, so compute engine is what I wanted to see. Yeah, cloud services, so financial, health, networking, so storage again. Another thing you might want to encounter, right? Google Cloud Services, storage, transfer, local SSD, right? Some extra storage needs you might encounter. Okay, So those are the major, we looked at all the major 3 cloud providers, just kind of got an idea what they offer. Again, it'd be interesting to see, play around with this if you don't have to actually enter your credit card info, right? This might be kind of query public data. Maybe you can query public data, right? Right, you can get some queries on some public data sets, right? Ah, there we go. Yeah, you can enter big query, right? And so this will be your exercise. Maybe do some query some public data. So this will be your exercise today. Do the big query, follow this quick start here, right? Cloud, Google.com, BigQuery, Docs, quick start, query public data, because you don't have to pay, you don't have to enter your credit card information. That's something you might want to test around, play around. Just make a, not only the standard query, but try to enter some interesting queries and put them in as a SQL queries in your GitHub. Basically, that will be your exercise for today, and we will meet at 9 as usual. So thank you everyone, and we will see you at 9.